Okay, this is the fourth time that I have tried to record this video. What a pain. Some of the software here at the school isn't working the way I want it to work, but I want to get this done before I leave today. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will work. Okay, so we're going to be talking about chromosomes and meiosis. So before the break, we talked about DNA and chromosomes and mitosis, which is cell division, but we're going to talk about meiosis, which is another type of cell division. All right, so for this video, or for this lesson, you will use your Power Notes page, and you will complete that as you go. After you watch the video, you will complete the Nearpod lesson, which is basically the same PowerPoint, but there's little checkpoints in between, which you'll be able to see here in just a minute. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we have many cells in our bodies. Okay, these can be divided into two main groups. We have our somatic cells and we have our gamete cells. When you're doing this, you're going to fill this out on this part of your page. See, we have the somatic cells and the gamete cells. So you're going to use this information to fill out these two boxes. So our somatic cells are our body cells. They make up most of your body tissue and organs and everything that makes up your body, pretty much. We have DNA in these cells, but this DNA in my skin cells is not the DNA that is passed on to my children. The genetic information that is passed on to children, that's what comes from the gamete or the germ cells. Okay, these are also known as the sex cells. So in females, it's the ova or the eggs, and in males, it's the spermatozoa or sperm. So these have the DNA. So part of the DNA comes from the egg, part of the DNA comes from the sperm. They get together, and that is where our offspring genetic information comes from. All right, this is the slide that you'll work through. And here we go. Each species of living thing has a set number of chromosomes per cell. So yeast has 32 chromosomes and 16 pairs. Fruit flies have 8 chromosomes and 4 pairs. Fern plants have over 1,200 chromosomes. That is a whole lot of chromosomes. Lots and lots of DNA in an equal number of pairs. And of course, humans have 46 chromosomes that are in 23 pairs. Your cells contain all your chromosomes. So this is a repeat. You guys know this. We already talked about how all the cells contains our DNA, and that DNA is in the chromosomes, and the chromosomes is what make us who we are, right? So body cells have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So you can see right here, let me move this out of the way. Right here, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, okay? And half of them come from your father and half of them come from your mother. Each of these pairs are called homologous genes, okay? Homo means same, so homologous means same genes, okay? And generally, they're the same in the appearance. Each pair is numbered, with the largest pair being 1 and the smallest pair is number 22. All right, so we have autosomes, sex chromosomes, okay? So those are two different things. So the autosomes are the chromosomes that are pairs 1 through 22. So right here, pairs 1 through 22, these are autosomes. And 23 is the sex chromosome. It's just one pair. And these genes control the development of their sexual characteristics. So really, it's what makes us male or female, scientifically speaking. So we have two different chromosomes in mammals, or sex chromosomes in mammals, including humans. So there's the X chromosome and the Y chromosome. Okay, so XX, if you get an X chromosome from your mom and an X chromosome from your dad, that makes you female. And same thing, XY, one from mom, one from dad, that's what makes you male. Okay, so you're going to take this quiz. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about sexual reproduction. Yes, that's why there was a sperm and egg on the front. Sexual reproduction is the fusion of two gametes. The result is an offspring or a child, and that offspring is a mix of both parents. So the actual fusion of a sperm and egg cell together, so the sperm and egg coming together, that's what's called fertilization. When this occurs, the nucleus of the sperm cell fuses with the nucleus of the egg cell. So they like come together and they fuse, and then boom, you have one nucleus for the cell instead of two. Okay, so that takes the 23 chromosomes from here and the 23 chromosomes from here. They merge together and boom, now we have our 46 chromosomes and our 23 pairs. Make sense? All right, so here we go. Somatic cells we're going to talk about diploid and haploid cells, okay? So diploid cells are the somatic cells. That means there's two copies in each cell. There are two copies of each chromosome. One from the mom, one from the dad, kind of what I talked about earlier. And the human diploid number, di means two, is 46. Then we have our gametes, or our sex cells. So these are haploid cells. Kind of sounds like half, half, half. So that's one copy of each chromosome. So eggs are always an X, okay? So a female can only contribute an X chromosome to the offspring. But males, sperm, can add either an X or a Y to the offspring. So if you've got a male and a female and they get together, then the female is going to give an X and the sperm will either give an X or a Y to make the offspring. All right, this one you will draw, well, you won't draw it, but you'll write diploid or haploid. All right, and now let's talk a little bit about meiosis, okay? Meiosis is a form of nuclear division that divides diploid cells into haploid cells, okay? Meiosis, diploid, two haploids. So it happens in the germ cells, which are these sex cells, right? Remember the egg and the sperm, that's where it happens. It happens in your reproductive organs, okay? So either in the ovaries or the testes. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the body, only in the reproductive organs, and it is essential, which means it's necessary for sexual reproduction. Oh, it's not clicking. All right, so then you will watch this meiosis video in the Nearpod. I'm not going to make you watch it now in this video because it's going to be longer, and I don't want you to have to watch it twice. So you'll watch that when you do the Nearpod. And then we will compare, let me move myself all the way again. We're going to compare mitosis and meiosis real quick. So mitosis, remember, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, is where a cell divides. We got one cell, and it divides to two cells, and each of these cells are exactly identical to one another, okay? This cell has diploid. This cell has diploid. So this one has 46 chromosomes, and this one has 46 chromosomes. And this is going to happen all throughout the life, okay? It happens in human cells, but in our somatic cells. And it happens in other things that reproduce asexually, like earthworms and other organisms that do not need to have a second organism to reproduce. But then when we talk about meiosis, that is where each of these cells is genetically unique. Okay, so I have a cell, okay, it's down here in my reproductive area, or you have a cell in your reproductive area, and that cell is going to split, okay, but when it splits, it only has half of your genetic information in one, and this one has half of genetic information, and this one, they all have half of the genetic information. And each one of those cells is different from the other one. That's what makes us all different. And it is involved in sexual reproduction. All right, and now you're going to do this little time to climb activity. And that is it for today's lesson. Please be sure to go back into Canvas and work through the Nearpod. If you have any questions or can't access it, make sure you sign in with your, I think you need to do your school Google account in order for me to see it. I'm not quite sure, but we will work through this. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.